All right, welcome back to the 80 Star Basketball Channel, the only star basketball channel talking about the upcoming auctions. Talking also a little bit about the 117 today, and I'm kind of having a theory, and I just want to put it out there on the 117 why PSA hasn't graded, and I think I kind of know why, and I got a hair clue, and but I'm just coming to conjecture, and it's just theory. So that's all it is. You'll just hear my opinion on why I think that PSA is not grading the 117 yet. So I will talk about that as well. And I briefly actually want to touch upon what a lot of people are really interested in, which is auctions. Um, I'm going to kind of briefly, because I'm just kind of broken record at this point. I'm going to say some of the same things I said a lot last week because I kind of feel I'm a little bit obligated to, as far as we're missing some auctions. Some people were like, hey, what about the Gatorade? Hey, what about the CK26? Hey, what about the 117? And because usually I talk about the 101 because that's really what's going to help steer everything. And when you focus on the 101, not only is it Jordan's only rookie card, but it really is, it's the bellwether card. It's really the one to watch. And nothing of note from last week's auction. I do think that these PSA, I think they're having some issue with the PSA vault sales on eBay, and they're showing older sales. So when you see, this PSA 7 sell for 95,000, and then all of a sudden you see a $75,000 sale. From what I understand, these are being the data was released late. So it looks like this was the sale on October 29th. And that's not a good look for eBay if that's the case, because what's happening is it makes it looks like prices are dropping. So, and they're not. So just to be aware for all the viewers that you have to take these with a grain of salt and understand the what's happening there. But I did want to talk about record-setting sales across everything. Again, my focus is for newbies that the cards to collect are the four base set cards in the CK26. I think these will go as a higher percentage. Really, collect all Jordan Star, all Star in general. It's great stuff. But people, really 90% of my questions on investment, they say, what should I get? And again, for a broken record, but I do want to talk about some of these sales that we're seeing. 25,000 for a PSA 7, but with a Mike Baker sticker on a CK26. Again, here's that BGS 9. This one is actually a BGS 8, I believe, when I looked this up, and they have it listed wrong. But really, you're starting to see nines, which were just selling for 2,500 now, tripled in price. And here's my broken record that I do Cajun Cardboard, as much as I disagree on some of the things that he says, but he's saying it better. But he does, and a couple others are actually social media that express extreme caution when things jump up 300 to 400% in a very short period of time. I agree with that as a standard practice. But simply there is no supply. Demand is exceeding supply, and it's just fundamental. But I would be remiss if I did not, throw out a cautionary note that things are, jumped up extremely fast, and sometimes that can be in a price correction. So I would feel bad if all of a sudden things crash and being like you said, then I just get being accused of being a pumper, and it's not. I truly believe in the cards. Over time, these will all be, to me, low prices, but in the quick short term, you never know what's going to happen. So I do want to reiterate that. But again, there literally is just like no supply. So the demand is high, and that's where things are at. So I will talk about this 117 in 1 minute. I do want to go over to upcoming auctions. There actually is going to be a bunch of stuff coming up on Heritage this month in November. So if you want to check out Heritage auctions, they are actually, there's kind of a little wave coming of some great stuff here. So they have CK26, a PSA 4. There's going to be And where do I have it? I have the 117s coming up. There's going to be a PSA 7 101 starting bidding on the 21st. And I believe I saw another, 101 coming up, a 5, and just a lot of Gatorades and Crunch and Munch and 195s, just a bunch of Star, but a lot of variety. So it's like, two of each card kind of thing, but definitely a good amount for Heritage to bid on and get if you're interested. So, and then looking at some of the quick pass stuff, that just sold and everything, bags are, obviously pretty high demand, but you can get some sale prices on some recent bags here over at Heritage. So check that out. But what I actually kind of got perked my interest, and I see, and I have to do it because once in a while I need to talk to. There's a lot of new people to the channel, so I need to kind of talk to some things and resources. A lot of fake questions: is this fake? Is this? Constantly gets it. So again, take a look at starbasketballcards.com or Basketball Gold, but really starbasketballcards.com has a great authentication link. And if you go here, and I'll click on it again, you can. They had a spot and they break these down, but when they get to the 117, I want to focus on this because this one and a few others from 85 are a hair different. Because as you know, in Star, and if you didn't know, there's a couple of quote unquote scandals. There's the Type 2s, what are called Type 2s. And they're very, very interesting for, Star has so much interesting for the hobby. But this is one of the more interesting stories, and it really happened because they were a small company, and there was also the shop at home scandal where the owner looked to have printed cards after selling them not licensed by the NBA and calling them reprints. But I'm going to just focus on the Type 2 and why I think this is what PSA's hang up is right now. Because I have asked and I've sent an email to Nat Turner, and he has responded with me that no comment basically on when PSA is going to grade these. So I do believe that these are going to get I think these are going to be kind of the next ones and bags when PSA starts grading both. I was a little more optimistic. Now I'm getting a little more, slightly as time goes on. You can't help but be a little more pessimistic. And Nat Turner responded to someone else, looked like in a thread, if this is correct, and I'm just going by what I've seen, is that Nat Turner said, hey, he doesn't even know, when they're going to be doing the card. So I'm guessing that the hang up, because this is the only thing unique to these cards, as well as is the Type 2 counterfeiting and PSA's guarantee. So here is my theory. Some of you would be like, well, yeah, I think that too. But so I don't think I'm saying anything that's completely new here, but I think it solidifies it as to the guarantee that here is how you spot a Type 2. And Type 2, it comes down to that Type 2s can be ambiguous. They're not all the same. If you have a counterfeit, with counterfeit cards, it's really, really simple. Like this, I'm going to show the counterfeit down here. Like one way you can spot a counterfeit of these is that the font is different. You can see there's a bad one, and here's the normal one. You can tell if you actually get a good copy, but you need a good copy. And a lot of times people they get so excited because there's a low price and they know it's a good card. And sometimes they're at a garage sale or a flea market and they'll be like, oh, I'll pay hundreds for this, not knowing. And then they might stick it in a box and they find out, years later. So there's the obvious that this was not printed by Star. It was not, anything to that effect. The difference is these Type 2s were printed by Star. They're not counterfeit in the sense of they are a completely remanufactured card. They were a card that was not released due to print quality issues. So that's what you see here. You got blurriness all around, and Star went, that looks really ugly, so we're not going to release these in our bags. So they basically put a whole bunch to the side, and a print company employee actually took the ones that were to be destroyed, cut them up, and sold them. So you won't see Type 2s in bags, but unless they were rebagged, but you will see them out in the wild, and you will see some, inadvertently graded. And I think that's what the problem is not all Type 2s, almost every single one, most likely, is different. The reason is because the lines got blurred in each one differently. It's not like they're all the exact same blur. And then a regular one does have some blurring, and it's generally this side. And I don't know if there's variations of a regular one, but you'll see this blur, and it's confusing. Like, wait a minute, the blur's over here also, and here. What if there's just a little bit right up here? Is that a Type 2? And I think as these cards are not cheap, I think that's one of the reasons that PSA is holding off, that they don't want like one with like a little bit of blur and say it didn't have all this over here, and what gets defined as a Type 2. And then these cards can be extremely valuable. So they don't want to pay, all of a sudden find out that they need to pay 5,000 a pop for hundreds of cards. So I think that's the complete holdup right there. And I don't know. Obviously, I have no crystal ball. I don't know if they're going to get past that. So generally, though, it's pretty obvious. You see a Type 2. When I see Type 2s, it's generally pretty quick. It's all the way around. But that is my theory as to what, when I say all the way around, it could be here and it could not be here, could be here, not over here. That's what I've seen. And if anyone has anything to add to that, please put it in the comments. But that's why. So if PSA actually does it, it is a complete gamble with these on PSA grading. But if they do, the price spike will be solid. That is for sure. And the quality control is actually better for Star in that last year that they made these cards, and the centering is way better than the first 2 years, and like bettering. This is actually common to see a well-centered copy, or just slightly off. But the centering is generally good. The thing they had was this printing in the border, and I don't know why they all of a sudden started having an issue with that. So maybe different printers, etc. But that was the issue. So I did want to mention that, and then go and check out if you're looking for authenticating. But these are two fantastic resources. I love Basketball Gold for its breakdown of sets. Like if you want to find arena sets and what that is, like there's so many things, and it's very overwhelming for a newbie. And a lot of people are getting into Star now that Star is getting more popular and going in the mainstream cards. These were the NBA licensed cards from 83 to 86. So they're no different than Fleer and Topps at all. They're the NBA licensed product. So this is the card. They just didn't make as many, and they had a lot of issues and a lot of quote unquote scandals. So anyway, check that all out. Again, check out Heritage Auctions, and as soon as something comes up, I'm looking forward to kind of reporting the next sale for a 101. We'll see what that is, but hopefully this helps, and hopefully for people who are looking for a 117, hopefully that's a little more info for you, and helps kind of guide if you're going to get a 117, or it gives you a little more clarity on what the issues are surrounding it. So, and have a great Sunday, and I will see you at the next video.